Welcome to another episode of Financial Minds Meet the Experts. I'm Jaime Agostino. Today, I'm joined by Mike Bechtel, Information Security Director with Vizo Financial, to discuss security awareness. Mike, thank you for joining me.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
All right, so security awareness, Mike, we talk about this all the time, but it's one of those things we have to keep repeating the information. That's the only way we all get better, right?
Oh, it's how muscle memory lays in. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So credit unions overall, they have a people first culture,
Mhm.
which is a huge competitive advantage, but can also be a security vulnerability. So how do you balance a culture of trust with one of vigilance?
This kind of scenario, I tend to lean into the KYC, or I guess, sorry, I'm a reformed banker. KYM, know your member. Um, Trust and how you deal with individuals, it's an earned thing. And the more you know your customer, so that I would encourage everyone to lean into that, the people first idea that you use members' first names when they come in the come in the wow, let's finish that sentence correctly. When they come into the branches, really get to know them, understand what their wants are, their needs are. The better relationship you've built with your members or even with the rest of the staff that you work with, the more you know them and the more you know what every sort of day looks like when you're with them, the easier interacting with them is going to be. And it'll also be easier for you to notice when something's off. Trust is often something that is gained. So simply because we are a people first culture here in the credit union movement doesn't automatically give everybody a pass for every wild request that you get via phone call, email, or text message. Well, because it came from Joe, I assume this is okay. No, you know the people you work with, you know the staff that you work with. The better you understand them, the less likely it is these sorts of things, these social engineering things that will fall for them. We also can't go too far the other direction. A policy of simply shutting down everybody because there's a fear of, well, what if this really isn't Mrs. Jones? What if it's somebody else?
Mhm.
You're just going to create more problems for yourself. You cannot draw a simple black and white line on a scale of 1 to 10 that says, well, if the situation is more than 6, it's okay, but if it's less than 5, it's automatic. No, there's really a nuance. You've really got to put some thought into it. A really good way to try to control this scenario is through policies and procedures. If you've got them, they're well developed and then practiced, not just having a meeting where everybody goes through them, but every time you run a transaction, it gets run the same way. That muscle memory tends to lay in, and it will give your staff some confidence when they're on the fence of falling on, well, is this okay or is this not okay? It'll help them feel that out.
Yeah. All right. So, phishing and social engineering, they remain the top attack vectors. What
Mhm.
does a convincing phishing attempt targeting a credit union employee actually look like today? But how has it evolved from just a few years ago?
Um, a good phishing email today, oddly, does not look a whole lot different than what it looked like a few years ago. A good phishing email today looks like any other email in your inbox. It blends in
Hmm.
like it's supposed to be there. That's its job.
Yeah.
The biggest difference you will run into between what they looked like a few years ago and now is going to be the use of artificial intelligence.
Hmm.
Really well crafted emails have they're difficult to spot. Poorly crafted emails stick out like sore thumbs. You can clearly tell by looking at it whoever wrote it. English is not their first language. Spelling is not something that they excel at. Sentence structure is woeful at best. All of these things all over the place. Well, artificial intelligence has taken that off the board. So instead of there being really good phishing emails and really bad ones, now all of them are really good. They blend in really well. That's the idea behind them. They're supposed to blend in. However, when you look at those sorts of situations, there are still some telltale signs inside of them that will make them stick out. Let's take, I'm sure everybody experiences this. I get this on a regular basis. You get an email into your inbox and it's somebody attempting to make a cold contact to you to sell something. They've got a new dog and pony show that they want you to witness because their product is cooler than everybody else's. You could probably tell me without even opening the email what the telltale signs are in your inbox, just seeing the date and time it came in and the subject line. That's probably enough for you to go, yep, I'm not even opening that one and pushing it aside. If you stop and look at phishing emails, you're going to start to notice those things too. There's always something that's off in the process. Good example of the use of artificial intelligence now and how it has changed the game when it comes to phishing emails. There's a woman a few years ago that I watched her give a talk on social engineering. Her company is a social engineering company. She sells her services to financial institutions, Fortune 500 companies, you name it, where she'll attempt to phish your staff, but she does it. I mean, she's got a really creative way of doing it. She told a story of a financial institution in Iceland that she was going to kind of do a sales pitch to. Hey, I know this is the company you're currently using. Here's how my company's better. And she had had a couple of the executive staff members out to lunch in the town in Iceland where this financial institution is located. Lunch goes swimmingly throughout the process. The sales pitch is going well. But as things are wrapping up, the CEO says, you know what, this sounds really, really good. There's just one major problem. There aren't many people in the world outside of Iceland who use Icelandic as their standard means of communication. Because this financial institution only exists in a couple of branches here in this town in Iceland, it's kind of the only thing we talk in. So if we get an odd email in, it sticks out like a sore thumb because most of them will come in English, Chinese, some other non-Icelandic language. So as good as this product is, I'm not 100% sure it's going to work for us. Woman says that's great, pays the bill, goes back to her hotel room, spends the next evening using artificial intelligence to craft a message using Icelandic as the base language, but then intensifies that by using it to, can you put in some dialect and some terms used in this local town that local people might recognize? Sends it off to the CEO that she had had lunch with the day before, and lo and behold, gets a phone call the next morning. Oh my word, I had no idea you could actually do this. And that's how kind of their relationship blossomed. But it kind of focuses on the idea that artificial intelligence can do a lot for people when they use it correctly. You can also do a lot of bad with it. So keep an eye on things that you're going to look for, things of comfort inside your emails to help you differentiate between Mrs. Jones sending you an email asking for something and someone pretending to be Mrs. Jones asking you for something.
So, Mike, I know you get out and about talking with credit unions. So when you talk to credit union leaders about cybersecurity, do you find that they treat it as a technology problem or a people problem? And why does that distinction matter?
Um, it really kind of it splits down a funny line.
Okay.
The smaller credit unions tend to look at it as a people problem because they combat the problem with their staff. It's also partially because of the resources that they have available to them. They don't have the depth of, bank accounts and pockets to spend to bring in the really big tools.
Mhm.
Conversely, if you talk to the big credit unions, they go the other direction. They are less people, more, well, there's got to be a technological solution to this. The ones that have really figured it out are the ones that marry those two objects together. Um, this is not, and most solutions are this way. This is not something you can just throw technology at and solve. Social engineering is by its nature social. It requires an interaction. It requires a back and forth. And computers are not really good at that. Artificial intelligence is getting there, but it's still just a magic trick that makes us think that it's thinking. Real good social engineering has a back and forth. All the computer do is talk in ones and zeros, and that's not really a social interaction. This requires both as a solution. You can't just put technology in place. You start with technology because you cannot just put your people on the line and say, don't worry, my staff have this.
Right.
That's a lot of pressure to put on them. They have to be flawless. Every single bad email that comes into their inbox, they've got to catch every single one of them, no matter what they're doing. That's a lot of pressure to put on anyone,
Yeah.
let alone somebody who's doing one or multiple other jobs throughout the course of the day. Marrying the two together give you the option to say, I'm going to put this technological solution in, some means by which I can filter my mail, block certain bad places that known phishing attempts come from. Let it take the bulk of the deal from you. But know that you're still going to have a few of them, say 15, 20%, that are going to get through into your inboxes. You can't ignore the fact that something's going to come into the inbox. So security awareness training still becomes a key component. Your staff need to know what to look for, how to react to it, and who to report it to. Um, Good security is not a solution. Good security is layers. Like if you had a castle, think about the castle as it's not just a moat. It's a moat. It's a drawbridge. It's high walls. It's a giant courtyard. It's a dragon and a balrog and anything else that you want to stack in the way. The more layers you have, the greater the probability is you're going to catch everything.
Okay. All right. So, what are the biggest security gaps you see in how credit unions manage remote and hybrid employees?
Ooh, a lot of those problems come from the physical aspect. So
Okay.
when your staff are in the buildings, there's all these layers of controls that you've already put in place, policies, procedures, things that most staff might even be it would be invisible to them that they don't realize it's there. Most of those controls go out the window when they go home. So let's look at physical security. You likely have alarm systems, cameras, motion detectors, all sorts of stuff that most homes aren't going to have. So if there's a burglary at the office, you catch it on video. You're going to have the police there quicker. Burglary happens at home, and the laptop, the printer, whatever else it is you've sent home with your staff gets taken. Less of that footage, whether they have a camera or not, you're not going to get as much information on it. Simple things like a clean desk policy. In the office, it was second nature. Well, I can't leave papers out on my desk or do anything. At home, who knows what their desk looks like? Because in the office, if they weren't following policy, it became obvious. Any one person could walk around the building and see, oh, look, Mike left all this stuff out on his desk. And oh, here's a loan application, here's a mortgage, and here's someone's, oh, here's a social security card somebody left. All of that stuff, just you can see it. When you've got staff at home, it's hard to know whether they're really following those policies. And especially at home, the probability is unless every single one of your staff employees live in their own one bedroom apartment or separate from the rest of their family, there's always going to be more people in the house that could see all of these things. Home networks, your your IT department, your security department, they have all sorts of controls and layers of security on the network in the office to keep it safe.
Mhm.
The most of that isn't going to exist at home. How many other people are using the home network? Are any of the systems protected by even a simple antivirus solution? Is there any simple web filtering in place? All of these things are outside of your sphere of control. Enforcing all these policies, and again, this should be something that every single staff member is signing off on every year. Enforce all these policies, whether they're in the office or out of the office. Enforce the use of a VPN so that if your staff are going to be remote or your staff are going to be at home from working, there's a way they can connect to you safely and also keep your data protected from whatever might be crawling around on that network in, my house here back at home.
All right. Well, you were already kind of talking about, some of the changes in technology. So AI is making social engineering attacks more convincing.
Mm.
We've got deep fakes, we've got voice cloning, we've got hyper personalized phishing. How should credit unions be preparing their staff for this new wave?
A lot of this stuff is going to start with education. And the first piece is going to be whomever in your credit union is responsible for security awareness training, you have to start by understanding what these attacks are, how they work, what are the telltale signs of them, how do your staff defend against themselves or defend against these things. And then once that's understood, that information needs to be delegated across the credit union. Everybody needs to understand the same information. You likely have opening procedures every morning. Somebody pulls into the parking lot. They wait for the second person. Second person pulls into the parking lot. One of the two of them goes in. They wander the office to make sure it's okay. And there's an all clear sign that you look for. I mean, you're accustomed to doing that, but that's been built over time. You know that process works. Now we need to understand these attacks and build similar safety nets.
Okay.
Rock solid procedures are going to help you. Again, that repetition of doing it all the time.
Hmm.
Understanding some of those, because some of these situations are going to be easier to spot than others. Um, Deep fakes, depending upon the time and effort put into them, harder to recognize than others. Voice cloning, exact same thing. I'll go back to kind of the top of the podcast when we were talking about um, vigilance versus, the open kind of the people first thing. And I talked about knowing your customer. This is kind of the same situation. Knowing your customer, knowing your coworkers, the better you know them, the harder it is to clone them, to deep fake them, or anything else. I mean, think about it this way. If you have a sibling, it would be difficult for me to reach out to you and pretend to be your sibling. You know them fairly well. You would know their ins and their outs, their behaviors and everything else. It'd be the same thing for me. If Jamie attempted to deep fake me as my sister, there's a mannerism to the way she talks, the way she strings her sentences together, and all. I've known her entire. I understand those things. My CEO, that might be a little easier to do. I know a bit about my CEO, but I don't know nearly as much as I know about my sister. I'm not going to encourage everyone to go out and do a deep dive into the background of every single person you work with, but knowing your staff, knowing the people that you spend all these hours with every day, the better you understand them, the more open you are with them, the harder it will become for artificial intelligence to be used against you. Because you will notice things like, wait, Mike doesn't wear glasses. Why does he have glasses on in this particular picture? Why does Mike keep using this word? I've never heard him use that word. But these little things will begin to pop out the better you know the people you work with.
Okay. So is annual security training enough?
Hmm.
What does genuinely effective security awareness training look like at a credit union versus just a checkbox exercise?
I'm I've never been a fan of checking boxes for anything because you're just doing it for the sake of doing it. You're not really getting anything out of it. Um, I'm also no fan of once a year security awareness training. I will say 100%, it is better than nothing, but not by a whole lot. Um, I heard somebody give a talk not too long ago, and they gave a little idea of if I could somehow look into the future and predict the day you were going to have a cyber incident, what staff member was going to be involved, what time it was going to occur, what activity they were going to be in the middle of when it occurred. If I could give that to you in a package and, hey, 6 months from now at this time, this is what's going to go on, would you have your once a year cybersecurity training happen 8 months before the incident occurred? Or would you have it happen, say, 4 or 5 days before the incident occurred? Most people are going to pick 4 or 5 days because they want that information to be in the staff member's head the moment the issue occurs. The possibility is greater you're going to identify the problem and stop it before the cyber event occurs. The further from the cyber event your education happens, the less likely it is that it's top of mind and that you would go, oh, wait, hang on. There's an external flag in this subject line of this email. Our HR department is internal. Why would I be opening this? Not knowing when the event's going to happen, but only training once a year, there's 364 other days of the year the attack's going to happen. Murphy's Law says it's going to be as far away as is possible. I'm a big proponent, instead of it just being security awareness training, it needs to be a culture of security awareness. Day-to-day activities always have security in mind. People are always checking each other, not in a way that is accusatory, like, oh, I saw so and so walk away from their desk and they forgot to lock their keyboard. Locking your keyboard is a good idea. You don't want anybody other than that user getting into that computer. But noticing that somebody did that is a moment of encouragement. It's an opportunity to stop and say, hey, by the way, I want to remind everybody when we go away from our keyboards, we need to lock our keyboards so that no one else is getting into our computers. And then go beyond that. It's not just we need to do this, but why do we need to do this? Why does this matter? Because at the end of that, why does it matter? Past all the technical jargon is the member. We've been entrusted with members' data, personal information about them, their businesses, their day-to-day lives, all their finances.
Yeah.
We need to take as much care of that and be respectful of that. It's a mission we've accepted. Only touching security once a year, something's going to go wrong. And it's going to go wrong so far from the moment that you're doing all the training. Culture gives you an idea that it's a day-to-day activity. It's not, oh, we have to get together tomorrow morning and talk about security. It's also not, jumping off the chairs that we get to do it. It's just part of every day. It's quite literally just a Tuesday as we're recording this podcast.
Yeah.
Staff here at the corporate experience this all the time. If something seems amiss, they know who to call. We have a conversation about it. There's a little bit, I got this weird email. I'm not sure. It might look like this. It might look like that. Like, I know who the sender is, but they don't talk like this. And this member doesn't have this service with us. Why would they be asking about it? It's the idea that management, and I mean from the top down, I mean from your CEO, even your board, all the way down to the part-time teller who started yesterday. Everybody needs to be involved in this culture. Everybody needs to be open to it, willing to learn something new. And there needs to be the idea that if you don't know something, that's okay. Not everybody. I've been doing this for decades. I still don't know everything, so I don't expect any of you to know all of it. However, the open ability to be able to talk to whoever, say, hey, this doesn't look quite right, or this doesn't feel quite right. There's nothing wrong with that. That's part of that open culture. You need to build, and it takes time. This is not just you're going to implement some changes tomorrow and have that culture, but we need to get past the idea that training is just, a once a year early morning meeting with some cold coffee and stale donuts. It's something that happens all the time.
Yeah. I listening to you kind of talk and not the annual thing, but I think that's why, like, I think of the corporate as a whole. I mean, that's why we have know before and you're constantly testing us,
Absolutely.
so that we get used to it. And and it's one of those things, like, if we do fail it, you're showing us the red flags, you're showing
Hmm.
us so that we can learn from it and how it tricked us a little bit. And to
Yes.
your point about emails, like, I just sent something to security review the other day, or to have you guys look at it, because I knew the person, but I wasn't expecting the email, and there was an attachment, and I was just kind of like, just to be safe, could you scan it? You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things. And, knowing that we can do that is nice to have. So
Hmm.
sorry. Um, so what's the one behavior or habit, if every employee adopted it, would reduce credit unions' risk the most?
Um, One thing. Oh, slow down. Or I guess more specifically, slow down and ask why. There is a lot that goes on. If I had $1 for every time, whether it's here at the corporate, at one of the members, or anywhere else, where somebody said, I clicked on it, and the moment I clicked on it, I knew it was bad. Like before the screen had even loaded, I knew it was bad. Well, why did you know it was bad? Because after I click, I recognized all these things. I was doing too much at one time. I was going too fast. I was in a hurry. Slow down. All of us, no matter where you are in the credit union, we're doing more than what one person needs to be doing in any one given day. We're trying to be efficient. We're trying to get as much done as possible for all of the members. That's it's a wonderful benefit to the membership. It is great that all of us are willing to do all of this. It is a it's part of our human nature to want to help each other, but we need to slow down because there too many of us are catching ourselves after the fact. If we had taken one more moment to think about it, or if we had taken a second read through that email before we decided to interact with it or respond to it, it's usually after the fact when when I got home that night, I was thinking something didn't quite sit with me right. I got my phone out, I started going through my emails, and oh, sure enough, that wasn't actually from the CEO, it was from somebody else. Slow down and ask why. Why is it a hugely important question? And most of the situation, why is this person asking me to do this in this email? If you can give yourself a rational answer as to, well, yeah, this is normal for the wiring department to ask me to do this. It happens every day. Or, well, I've never gotten an email from the CEO before asking me to wire money to this member. Like it's never happened before. It's probably a reason for that. It could be a valid emergency, or it could just be someone trying to get one past you. Slow down and ask why.
All right. So now let's look at it from the credit union perspective. If a
Mhm.
credit union listening to this episode did just one thing this week to improve their security awareness culture, what would you tell them to do?
Share what you know with each other.
Okay.
All of us know, like each of us are specialists in our own jobs.
Right.
That's kind of how we got to where we are. But if we share what we know with each other, it becomes multiplicative. One person gets a bad email. Oh, I spotted this bad email. Delete. Brilliant. You didn't fall for it. What if the other 10 people in the office would have gotten the same message and might have fallen for it? You don't share that information, they don't have the opportunity to learn from it. It could be something you take for granted because you get it, you know. Like I know who the strong players are in the corporate who are really good at this sort of thing. I have faith in them. They come to me going, "Hey, I got this. I've already deleted it. I just wanted to let you know it was out there." But you're also going to have others who haven't experienced these things. But I capture all of those data points. And when it's time to do education, hey, some of your other employees and your other staff members got this message or that text message or this phone call. Here, we're going to walk through it so that if you were the one that saw it first, you would know just as much about it as they did and be as successful as they are. It's brilliant that each one of us knows something, but sharing all that information across the credit union, even if it's from credit union to credit union. Think about it from a chapter perspective. We come together in chapters to share our knowledge with each other.
Yeah.
That knowledge we're sharing should also include information security.
Yeah. Well, Mike, as always, thank you so much for joining me. Any final thoughts for our listeners today?
Be safe out there. It's a crazy cyber world.
All right. And I also need to give a special thanks to Vizo Financial's risk management suite of services and partners for sponsoring today's episode. Technology will continue to advance, trends will come and go, but risk is here to stay. So, what is your credit union doing to manage that risk? It's all about finding the right partner with industry experts and reliable risk management services to help you build a secure future. At Vizo Financial, we've teamed up with some of the best risk companies in the industry, DefenseStorm, Fortra, and KnowBe4, to offer a full suite of risk management solutions, including fraud prevention, threat surveillance, social engineering testing, penetration testing, vulnerability scanning, as well as risk assessments. Plus, you receive the support from Vizo Financial's team of experts and earn exclusive discounts through our partnerships. Visit www.vfccu.org or contact your corporate account manager to learn more. As always, thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and make it a great day.